Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. This is a pretty good rack. I've drawn a blank and I could have a bingo, but the two U's may be problematic. I'm going to squiz through the alphabet and see if I can see a bingo. Nothing has instantly jumped out at me. I've got the out prefix and I've got the OUS ending, but that's using the blank as an S. So I haven't seen anything yet. There may not be anything here. In which case I'll want to leave a good rack leave. Not much score on offer with only 1 point tiles. So I've got the un prefix here. QU, nothing. That looks promising. That's the OUS ending. Okay, so I can't see anything. I've got the auto prefix with LU. Out with AUL. Just considering that by itself, can't see anything. So I think the way to sort this rack out is to play Ulu, getting rid of both U's. And I think even better is going to be Luor. Just wondering about where to place it. Let me put this back. I think here. Luor leaving a better vowel consonant balance. So I'm going with this. Well, I did keep a good vowel consonant balance, but I've drawn only consonants, so this isn't a great looking rack. However, there are vowels on the board, and there could be a bingo here. But the duplicate N and the Y and the P, all non-bingo-y factors. So I've got the non-prefix, can't see anything. I've got type with an E. I've got sin with the blank as an S. Well, while I'm waiting for my opponent to play, I think I'll see if anything comes to mind. 15 points for my opponent, good. He hasn't got off to a huge start, and he's left a couple of vowels as floaters. And they could well be important for any bingo. Gosh, that looks promising. So non-empty through an M or through an E. EMPT doesn't work. EMP doesn't work. Okay, that was close. It may seem like slow progress with 3 minutes gone and only one short word played, but when you've got a blank, it's important to avoid missing a bingo, and you do at least have the luxury of time at the beginning of the game. I've got the hypno prefix. I've got the phony ending. Okay, now whenever the blank is a vowel with only one natural vowel, this raises the chances of a bingo. Can't see anything. Still nothing. There may not be anything here. Now, is non-party good? The non-party line. Well, I may try that. That's the sin prefix. So, do I try non-party? What else would use the A? Anti. or ANT ending. What if I had the blank as an L for an LY ending? Can't see anything. What about the U? I've got the prefix. I'm going to try non-party. See if it stays on the board. It won't be a disaster if it comes off, although playing a phony is usually quite expensive, but this is quite an early stage of the game. And if it does come off, I should be able to... And it stays on. Fantastic. I still don't know if it's good. My opponent may just simply have not challenged it. Reguline, I think, is good, but I'll challenge it. That's fine. Now, I've got the J and the Q. I've got an I to go with the Q. Both the U's are now obstructed. My Q could just sit above the I of Reguline. Is there anywhere massive for the J? Because with an I on the board and an I on my rack, if I played the J without using the I, then I can play the Q next go. However, well, I could play Jollity. Well, that remains available after playing QI. Therefore, I think I will play QI, Chi, for 21 points. And I've got Jollity and Joltily for next go. The reason for not playing it this go is that the I then is used up and is not available. And if this I is blocked, I could be stuck with the Q for a couple of turns. Playing Q now, I'm retaining the J for Jollity. And I've also got a couple of vowels to go with it. So if that's blocked, I can probably play elsewhere. Okay, well, I do have Jollity still. What else is there? Well, there's Jello through the E. That would leave a decent rack leave. Not a huge score. My P can go above the E, but I can't play the J if I play the P in that spot. So I haven't seen anywhere huge for the J. I like Jollity because this rack isn't particularly bingo-y, therefore I don't mind playing off a lot of tiles. Certainly the L, although it does feature in a lot of bingos, doesn't feature in enough to merit feeling good about retaining them unless it's in conjunction with other bingo-y tiles and part of a good vowel consonant balance. So at the moment, I've got Jollity and Joltily, and I've got Jello in column 3. I'm pretty sure there's no bingo with this rack. It would be nice to get more than whatever Jello scores, though, if Jollity is blocked. Just wondering if I have anything in row C beginning J-O. Well, I have Jot, 26 points, the same as Jello, and a worse rack leaf, so that's not an improvement. And I don't have anything underneath row E, or underneath Reguline, rather. Well, at the moment, the score's very close, just 4 points between us. We've both spent quite a bit of time on our opening moves, but that's the way it goes sometimes. My opponent bingoed last turn, so he's got 7 random tiles. He may be fortunate and be close to another bingo, or he may be struggling with a problematic rack. I'm just looking around for anywhere else, though, where I can play a J and at least one of the L's. There's no particular reason to hang on to the J. I can't see any massive scores available which retain it. Quite a few triple letter squares within reach of plays on the board, but I can't see any way of getting the J on any of them. Okay, so Jolterly has been blocked. Jello's still available. I could play just Jol, J-O-L, in column 4. 26 points. Well, that's not as good as Jello. My J can go next to the A, but I don't have any J-O-I words. So I'm playing Jello for 26. Not a great rack. Non-bingo-y vowels and duplicates. However, I have the P for score, so I do have, for example, Potto above the E of Reguline for 27 points, which keeps the score going. Downside of that is placing an O right next to a triple letter square, so my opponent could play Zar and Zoo for a lot. Now, what about column 4? Yeah, I have Topoi, T-O-P-O-I, which is going to score quite a lot if that remains available. Jello takes an S after it, so if my opponent has an S and none has been played so far, he could score well in row H. So of the really good tiles, all 4 S's and a blank are still out there. At the moment, Topoi is my play, retaining DT. Not a great rack lead, but the vowel consonant balance is about right. You're looking to retain 1 or 2 more consonants than vowels, so 2-0 in favour of consonants works. Topoi will score about 35 points, which will be a decent score from this rack. Luor takes an S for future reference. Great, my Topoi spot hasn't been taken, and my opponent's only scored in the low 20s, so he's not zooming away. I'm about 20 points behind. Now I need to be sure I don't have a bingo. However unpromising this rack looks, I do have the oid suffix. So I've got an R and an I, opioid through the I. No, I can't see anything, so I'm going with Topoi for 35. Well, and that's why it's helpful to retain a preponderance of consonants. I've drawn primarily vowels, but 4 vowels isn't a disaster. It's just not as good as 3 or 2. I've got the out prefix. Can't see anything with that. And the floater's on this board. No high scoring tiles and duplicates with the D and the O and the irksome U. Fortunately, my opponent is not stringing together a string of bingos, so we are still pretty much neck and neck, just swapping the lead with each turn. Quite a few bingo lanes on this board, though. Yeah, there goes the bingo, 80 points. I'm not able to respond in kind. Just want to be sure that I don't have a bingo. The out prefix just doesn't look that promising with DDOT. However, I do have the ED ending, so it's out. And then DO or OD, and then ending ED, but I can't see anything. Topoi has taken out the risk of hooking Jello, or diminished its impact. So, how to sort this rack out? My E would have to go after the R if I wanted to play in column 15 in the middle. So I've got outdo on my rack. I could play that here. Let me see what that scores. A dismal 21 points, and I'm retaining 2 Ds. I don't think that can be optimal. 39 tiles unseen, 11 minutes left. I am now behind. So I want to keep the board open, but I also want to score. So I could play Dodo for 24 points, and although I'm retaining the U, it's a fairly balanced rack, and it is the case U, so it's not going to get duplicated. And I haven't seen anything better. Well, I'm glad to see the Z. I've only got 2 vowels to play with, though, and the U doesn't go particularly well with the Z. So I have res in column 15 for 40 points. My Z can front hook it. Can't see a way of getting it on any of the triple letter squares in column 10. Desira takes an S, so row H quite hot. Still 3 S's out there. I don't really like res. I like the score, but the rack leave of ducked is pretty grim. Now my C can go over the H. I don't have to play the Z. So I could play ducked in row B, keeping res. Well, that decision has been removed to some extent in that my res spot has been taken. So if I play ducked it, it's 31 points, which is a good score. I'm opening up a new bingo lane, which is sort of a good and a bad thing. And it's bad because it's providing a very easy opportunity for my opponent to score whether or not he has a bingo. And I'm only 1 bingo behind, 60 points. So I'll be 30 points behind after ducked. So if I could score 30 elsewhere, it may be better than playing in this spot. However, how can I do that? Well, I can't see a way of doing it, and I quite like getting rid of the U, and this rack leave is quite a nice 3-letter rack leave. Certainly, having the Z and a vowel means that I will be looking to score well next go. That's pretty nice. Through an N, I would have Mazarine. No N's available. However, it's good to see vowels with my Z. I am expecting my opponent to play in row A. I think it's too hot a spot for him to ignore. So I'm hoping he won't score too highly. I've got Nazi in row F, which will score well and leave a decent rack leave. And open up a new bingo lane, a double-double in column 11. And Nazi also takes an R at the end, which I will have in my rack leave. I'd rather have it on my rack than on the board for 1 extra point. Wow! Worst possible outcome. My opponent bingoing in row A. I will challenge, although I think it's good. It's fine. So I'm now 125 points behind. 22 tiles to come, including a blank and 2 S's. The board's quite open, so the game isn't lost. But I am an underdog. So Nazi for 33 is what I was looking at. I can't see anywhere better for the Z, and the rack leave is pretty good. I draw the final blank, and although I do have a lot of high scoring tiles, this looks fairly bingo-y. I have Merbane on my rack. Doesn't play in column 12. Ah, but it does play in column 2. Okay, that's the end of that phone interruption. I normally switch the phone off and forgot to do so. So I have Merbane here for 73. Not an amazing score. And Merbane takes an S with 2 S's out there, so a lot of it may be nullified. So let me put this back on my rack. My opponent's played EH for 28. I don't want to miss a much better score in columns 11 or 12. So do I have anything with an I on this rack? I've got the by prefix. Just wondering if 7 minutes on my clock. I'm just wondering if it's worth looking through the alphabet, and I think it probably is. And I'm kind of looking for 7s and 8s through an I. Haven't seen anything yet. Still nothing. That's the Merbane rack. Well, some of these look promising, but I'm not seeing anything. Okay, so have I overlooked somewhere for Merbane? No. So Merbane for 73. And I don't draw one of the outstanding S's. At the moment I'm 50 points behind, but that's likely to go up to a bingo behind. And only 10 tiles in the bag. Not a great rack. Duplicate pairs again. And the V, not great. It's quite nice having 2 hotspots in column 11, the double lane, and row N hooking Merbane. It means that at least one will be available. However, my opponent may end up taking both, since I can't utilise either with my current rack. And right now I haven't seen anywhere for anything. So what I'm looking to do, I guess at a minimum, is to play off VIN. Let me look at the remaining vowel situation. 17 tiles unseen. 7 of them vowels, so 7 out of 17. Okay, so keeping an equal number of vowels and consonants would be fine. Nice score for my opponent. A good thing is that he's left both of the hot spots available. Now, what can I do? 6 minutes on my clock. What can I do about this rack? I would have in native onto an E. So I don't want to block the existing hotspots. I do want to play off the V. Okay, another interruption. Now, 5 minutes on my clock. I haven't seen anywhere for the V. I think I need to play it, but if I don't, I'm looking to play IN, so I could play Lin in row E for 13. Well, this is a pretty grim position. Just 7 tiles in the bag. At least in rather than Vin has the merit of playing fewer. However, if I played more, I'm increasing my chances of drawing an S. Can't see anything through T and Y. 4 minutes on my clock. Well, I'm playing Lin. Not great. Still got the V. I have the X, which ordinarily is a good tile, but there's nowhere fabulous for the X. I could play XI and XI for a half-decent score, but that's taking out one of the good bingo lanes. Well, that could have been worse, in that my opponent has opened up a new bingo lane in row O. 2 tiles in the bag. I think this game is lost, given that I'm 120 points behind. However, I still want to play the winningest plays, or the least losingest. So I do need to play the X. I can play Axe here. It is emptying the bag, but it may be that I have a bingo in 2 spots. Remaining tiles look quite good. Of course, it could be the case that my opponent bingos. Anyway, Axe scores 36 points, which is a decent score. And I can't see anywhere better for the X. I could probably get it on this triple letter square, but it's not going to score as much as where it is here. Pretty awful. That couldn't have been much worse. I have emptied the bag. I can see what my opponent's got. He's got quite a nice rack, but I can't see a bingo for him. I may have a double-double, which isn't a bingo, in column 11. But I can't see it. And I can't use row O. I would need one of these E's, and I don't have them. 3 minutes on my clock, 8 minutes on my opponent's. Now I do have an R for going after Nazi. I don't think I'm going to score very much in that spot. I think Vitric is good, but that's not a double-double. But it may enable me to go out in 2. However, I'm fairly sure my opponent can go out in 2 with this rack, so I'll probably only get one more go. And it may be that Vitric is my highest scoring option. Anyway. My opponent's got 7 minutes. He may feel he's close to a bingo with this rack. Or he may be looking for a way of maximising a score in row O. My I can go in front of RE, and my R can go in front of F. So I could play Ricin for 19 points. But Vitric scores 22. Well, I think I'm just going to wait for my opponent to play. Which he does. For 26 points, he's keeping back B and S. So he's got Sab in column 3 and B's in column 12. So he certainly is going out. He's blocked Vitric. He's provided a floating E. So I can play Vinia. I suspect there's something better than that, but that's my current default play. Do I have anything beginning RI? I don't. I could play Invert. Now, do I have anything which gets the C or the V doubled? Vice are not good. Well, I can play Civet for 26. I suspect there are better plays, but probably not much better, and in any event, this is a lost game. My opponent has got a choice of outs. He could play BIS. Well, Sab is fine, so pass to end the game. And the final score, 379 to me, 482 to my opponent, a winning margin of 103 points. So well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go fast. There was a bingo, and it looks like there was only one. Haul out. Difficult to spot. My opponent plays valet. Now, I found non-party, but there was also poignant. Yep, playable in a couple of spots, and 2 penny. Pretty nice, through the E of valet. Okay, well, I'm glad to have spotted a bingo from those unlikely looking ones. My opponent plays Regulime, which is a great bingo. Now I was considering Jollity, but also considering Chi, and I preferred Chi. Opponent plays Waft, and I played Jello. I didn't think at the time that it was the best play, but I can't see anything better. Opponent plays third, and now I have Topoi for 35. Nice rack for my opponent. He's got Desirer, and he's now moved into a 70-point lead, and I never really recovered from this. So I played Dodo for 24. That looks fine. Opponent plays Feg. Now Z for L3. Z and Zit. Okay, well that has its own dangers in that Z takes an A and an S after it, and it's retaining the U. Cuz L3. Well, that's looking a lot better. It doesn't take any hooks, and the rack leave is good, especially with the floating eye of thirds. So probably Cuz better than my play of Duct for 31 points. So not much between Cuz and Duct in terms of score, or indeed in terms of rack leave. One's bingo-y, one's got the Z. However, Duct probably unnecessarily open, and obviously ideal for my opponent sitting there with this rack, although I note he also had it available for play in column 13. Yeah. So this was my rack. G2 Maze. Okay, coming down column 2. And I played Nazi for 33, and I like that. It's not very many points behind the higher scoring plays, and it's a good 4-letter set, which is much better than a good 2-letter set. Opponent plays A, and I saw Merbane. I didn't see its anagram Bioman, but that played in the same spot for fewer points. My opponent's rack, he plays Emo. Now at this point I'm in pretty bad shape, and this is a pretty poor rack. And look down here, the scores are pretty poor, and the rack leaves are generally very poor. So I played Lin, and it's hard to see if any of these plays are obviously better. Certainly the ones which play the V seem to leave, or do leave, duplicate tiles. Opponent plays Saw. And, okay, so there was a double-double retaining the X. I was 120 points behind, so I wasn't going to come back and win at this point. Well, not much between Vitrain for 40 and Axe for 36, and Axe for 36 at least retains the possibility of bingoing, so I like my play. This was my opponent's rack, and he has a bingo! I-Banks, wow! Through the Y of non-party. Well done if you spotted that in the seconds. Well, you wouldn't have spotted it because it wasn't visible during the game. But anyway, well done if you know the word and think you would have spotted it. Now, this was my rack, and I played Civet. Okay, well, I thought there'd be something obviously better, and there isn't. And finally, my opponent goes out with Sab. So, an interesting game, but a frustrating game. My opponent went into a bingo lead with Desirer, and my rack just didn't come together thereafter to be able to come back with a bingo of my own. So my opponent ran out a worthy and deserved winner with over 100 points of spread. So well done again to him. I hope you enjoyed watching that, and I will see you next time.